know these things because we know the ladies are already at akimbo waiting for what we're going to do on Valentine's Day. Like, let's see what surprise is going to come up with.
Right. So as far as Valentine's Day is a day of spending, right? There's a day of spending, and as far as the outflow, the financial outflow that is concerned, you've got to be prepared. So the question now becomes, do you start planning to spend in February, or did you start planning to spend in January or even in December? It depends on what it is that you're planning to do on that particular day. And for personal finance, I mean, like any other, if you have an outflow of, funds that are going out towards a particular thing that you've been planning for, you've got to make sure that the funds are available depending on what it is. So you got to have foresight. There's foresight involved, and for too many people, they leave it last minute. If you go on social media, you already see, if you hashtag Valentine's Day, the tweets are already gathering up and so on and so forth. So it's a day that folks are looking ahead. But for you that's planning on spending money on that particular day, you've got to plan. And which is the reason why I decided for us to talk about this today, rather than wait until it's like a day before or a week before, before discussing it. So salaries, hopefully salaries were paid. A lot of people that are listening to us that are working, were already paid salaries yesterday or the day before, for January. So that's where that's where your Valentine's Day, if you haven't been saving already, that's where the money is going to come from. You're not going to wait until the end of February, because by then it's already passed. If you had the foresight, then you probably already, this is difficult because December was all about Christmas and nobody was thinking about Valentine's Day at that time. But if you could have allocated a little bit of the salary in December to say, okay, this is what I plan on spending on that particular day. And so I'm going to put some money away for that purpose. But for January, you definitely, if you just got paid already, you definitely want to put some funds away, depending on what it is that you're planning. And also because you're going to buy gifts, and there's probably going to be, and the hospitality sector is very excited because they're hoping that there will be restaurant bookings, there will be hotel bookings, right? So if you've already budgeted for what that is going to cost, you can't wait until the last minute. You already have to start, putting in those plans to say, okay, I'm buying flowers and I'm buying, chocolates, and I'm booking this restaurant, and this is what we're going to eat, and this is where we're going to go. So it's a big financial outflow, and it's not something that should be left until the last minute, essentially, because now, of course, you don't have to spend anything. There's no obligation for you to do anything at all. In fact, another argument would be, look, the economy is tough right now. Food prices, hotels and restaurants, especially restaurants, you can see the increase in food prices in your restaurant bill. Genie, 10 years ago, if I spent, I don't know, 15,000 naira or 10,000 naira at a restaurant, let me say 15. I would consider that to be a sizable sum, anywhere from 12 to 15,000, just taking myself just to go in to have dinner. In fact, two people could probably eat a decent meal for about 17 grand, right? But today, if you go to a restaurant, a decent restaurant in Lagos, my goodness, you're looking at 25, 30, 35,000. Everything your 17K that you spent 10 years ago
is double.
For two people, that's doubled.
So I don't know. Some people haven't even said I love you to their loved ones in a long time. So if on Valentine's Day they say I love you, that would surprise, wouldn't it? You don't have to spend any money.
Yeah. See, another thing is, these things have to be look, if you're going to spend, I mean, look, I don't know.
I can hear some people say, Genie, spendthrift. Huh? You don't want to spend money. Spend that money. Spend that money.
If you're gonna spend, if you're gonna spend, 50, 70, 85, 100, 150,000 to show your affection to somebody, I would hope that you love the person, especially
dearly,
because that 100,000, that 150,000, that could buy you stocks. It could get you, bonds. You could buy treasury bills with a few month. And I believe the federal government should already, if they haven't already, I don't know why I haven't seen the notification, but the federal government savings bond, they offer a new bond in the first week of every new month. So a minimum of 5,000 naira. You can get a 2-year, 3-year bond. It's a retail bond. It's a savings bond. I mean, 150K, you can put that in a bond. There's some stocks that are doing it. The Nigerian Stock Exchange has started out pretty well to start the year. So rather than spending 150,000 on,
food and drinks,
and you have other options to put that money elsewhere. But
instead of going to a hotel and booking a hotel, why don't you just buy new sheets? Change the sheets, put some roses on it, put a box of chocolate on it. Save yourself hotel booking.
Genie, that is an excellent suggestion. In fact, there are also, for those who are looking at cutting costs and not having to spend so much money, a new pair, you can get sheets. If I even have one now, because sheets are going up, but I believe you can get a decent pair of sheets for about 5,000-7,000 naira, I think. Decent sheets. Buy some flowers, as you said. Spread it on and save yourself. We've got tech now. There's Siri and Alexa. You can get a music playlist going on your streaming platform. Buy some candles, scented candles. You can cook. You can really cut costs and still make it a special.
Make it special.
Yeah. But you're still spending on sheets. You're still spending on roses. You're still spending on buying food to cook. So whatever it is, the whole point of this segment today is that whether it is Valentine's Day or somebody's birthday or whatever special occasion, you have to have some kind of foresight and initial planning instead of leaving it to the last minute and then dipping into funds that were not initially allocated for that purpose. So, I mean, for every new year, you mark off, special days.
Certain boxes.
Exactly, and put some funds away. So, but I guess the economic situation has to play a factor where you want to probably conserve your funds and say, well, maybe this isn't worth it. My partner knows that I love them. I love my partner, and I don't need to spend all this money.
We just tell them, sweetheart, I love you. Let's do it next year.
Exactly. There's always that other option as well. So these are things that you have to think about when it comes to spending and when it comes to those outflows, because savings has to be a priority, Genie, for so many people this year. I mean, there could be some people listening to this whose salaries haven't been paid yet, right? And so Valentine's Day is probably the last thing that
their mind.
Yeah.
Last thing on their mind.
Yeah. Exactly. So there's still that challenge. And when you are in an environment, in a society, a country where salaries can be delayed, you have to be extra conscious of when you do get paid so that you're allocating more towards like an emergency fund or something else that is in place to protect you if your primary income doesn't come in. So it's definitely something. Yeah.
Now, Roti, we were talking about saving. And I was having a chat with somebody, and he said, look, Genie, only poor people save. Rich people use their money to do business. So he says it's only poor people that save. And you know the funny thing is, you go to a restaurant to buy something, you give them their card, and they always assume that you want to take money from the savings account. I said no, current, please, because they're like savings. No.
Exactly, you're right. I mean, people use savings accounts like it's a regular transactions.
It shouldn't be.
Yeah. But your I've heard that what your friend said, and what your friend's point is about putting money to work. So rich people do business. That means they are allocating the money that others will keep away. They are allocating it towards ventures and activities that will work for them and bring more money, back to them. But not it's like there are people who are rich didn't just, well, some of them were born with a silver spoon in their mouth. They were born into others. They had to create the wealth, right?
But where I'm going with this is, if a billionaire comes and takes all the money that people have saved to do a business, shouldn't he pay interest to all those people that he's taking their money?
Of course, if you're going to offer somebody some kind of business venture and say, look, give me this and I'm going to, input it here and I'm going to give you a return. Yeah, I mean, it's risk management, right? That's why you're asking for interest and all the likes, because there has to be some risk mitigation when you are putting money or giving money for somebody for something to get returns on. But you have to ask questions, Genie. I mean, anyone that is coming to meet you and say, I have this plan, and you just give me some of your money, it's going to, have this and that return. You got to ask questions and you got to get as transparent as possible. What is it that you're doing? This business that you're about to do, what are the risks? Can I lose all my money? There's a, what are their names? I can't remember their names now. There's a platform, an agri-tech platform that just recently had to put out a statement with respect to not being able to pay returns to investors. It's one of these agricultural platforms. They put out a letter yesterday on Twitter saying that, look, bear with us, things have been up, so on and so forth. So,
the usual, we are working on it.
We are working on it. Investors, please have patience. We'll get back to you. But those are risky ventures. You don't know when crops are going to yield fruits and whether or not there will be floods, or there will be pests, or there will be insecurity, or whatever it is that is going to impact your Crowdivest. That's them. It's Crowdivest. I have to go through my tweet because I retweeted their
apologies, basically.
Yeah. So, I mean, and others along the line have done the same, So, and this is a cooperative venture that's invests in a number of things. So, you've got to ask questions. What is this thing you're doing? How does it work? How will I make my money back? And are there any risks? And then when you've got, and I've told for everyone that's listening, I constantly tell people to send me a message if anybody has reached out to you with some investment scheme and saying that, okay, this is what this just bring it to me. Let me throw it by me and say, Rotus, what do you think? And should I put my money here? Because we don't want stories that touch, as they say.
Okay, we're gonna have a quick break. We'll come back with more of you right at Smooth 98.1.
All right.
It's all about your finances made easy.
CNN chief Jeff Zucker, he's resigned after failing to disclose a relationship with his colleague. How about that? These men.
Write your story. See the victory in your mind.
Rotus, can you hear me?
Take it to the streets.
Yeah.
Who's the guest that's supposed to be coming on?
Is about to begin.
I'm not sure if he said he might join at 5:30. Ayodiji is his name.
Saturday, February 12, 2022. Register at www.lagoscitymarathon.com.
Okay, he hasn't joined us.
Access more.
He has?
No, he hasn't.
It's all about your finances made easy.
Because financial education is about not working for money.
Personal Finance on Smooth 98.1.
Okay, we're back on Personal Finance with Rotus with us, talking about how you can actually put money aside towards Valentine's Day. You're going to be buying gifts for your loved ones, and you need to plan. If you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. No flowers, no chocolates, nothing. Nada.
Exactly. And look, Genie, last year, okay, no, was it last year or the year before? I think it was 2019. The Victoria Island area was just, on Valentine's Day, was just a zoo. There was so much traffic around where Echo Hotel is. There are people running around last minute to get, flowers, other things. And it was just chaotic. And I think that planning ahead, when you plan ahead, you avoid chaos, right? But look, another thing is for single people. For people who are in committed relationships, who are married, this is something that is probably going to be expected, right? But another question I've gotten is, for a single person, single guy, single girl, should I make that investment and go and spend money on somebody who I'm not in a committed relationship with, but I want to use this as a platform to say, hey, listen, I think two of us should, we should become an item. Yeah, it's a little risky to. So look, you need clues before you're getting there, right? It's almost like the public. Yeah. I don't know where you stand on public proposals, marriage proposals, Genie.
I don't stand. I'm old school, so.
Yeah. So before
I love my fingers, and I don't want to have them burnt.
Exactly. So before you gotta make a public proposal to somebody in public, I would hope you're not going to surprise them with it, or I would hope you've talked about it in the past and asked, hey, what do you think about public proposals? Or in social media now, so many things are happening. You can send a video. There was one guy in some church, I think it was in Benin. He proposed to a girl in church. She rejected it, and then they started taking pictures of him, and I won't lie, I laughed. So you can send something like that to your potential person who you want to get a relationship. Say, hey, look at this. This is funny. What do you think? And then use that as an avenue to ask their thoughts on public proposals so that you know what to expect. So it's the same thing with, I think you should have already established whether you want to be in a relationship with a person and ask them ahead of time. And then Valentine's Day can now be a celebration of that decision being made. Because to go and spend all that money on somebody that you're not sure if they're going to accept or not. Exactly. And then now you go and make all these reservations and you spent all this money. Again, this is planning. This is the theme of this segment. Foresight. You've got to, it's chess. You got to start making these moves ahead of time. And it goes for investing. It goes for buying securities. This is February now. Look, the time is already past. The first month.
We got less than 2 weeks to Valentine's Day. Actually,
exactly right.
But what are your thoughts on gifting someone stocks, bonds, and other things as a Valentine's Day present?
Genie, that is an excellent question. Yes, I mean full support of that. Now I don't know how the other person. It depends on how they react to it, because they might be expecting, I don't know, a physical gift, or they may be expecting something and then you give them. So it's a very good gift. And it's a good way to introduce someone to investing. So so the federal government savings bond I was talking about, you can invest in a bond on behalf of somebody else and then present them with a certificate and say, hey, I bought you a bond. And the bond, instead of spending $150K on a hotel room or a restaurant, hey, by the way, sorry to segue. Have you seen all those pictures on social media where somebody goes to a restaurant and they take a picture of their receipt for like =1 million after buying drinks and so on? Have you seen those things, Jimmy?
I think that's very vain.
Very vain.
Absolutely vain.
So instead of going and buying drinks,
instead of showing me a receipt of =1 million, show me the certificate of the bonds instead, and I would say you've done well.
Thank you. That is exactly right. So show them the certificates that you've invested in a bond for $500K and tell them, okay, look, and they may not know how these things work. So Now you've bought them a bond in their name, federal government, Nigeria's federal government savings bond. You explain how the coupon works, when the coupon payments are made, the interest rate, 2-year bond, 3-year bond, and then you can use that as an avenue. And look, I advise all, couples or couples to be, make investments be part of your conversations, right? So, hey, have you heard of this? This stock is doing well, or do you know anything about the stock market? You start talking, and then you make it a conversation where you're following the market, so you're just seeing throughout things, or even any friends who are offering business opportunities to make more money. MMM. I mean, just talk about everything so that you are
you're clued up, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And it gives you, as a couple, so for relationships to thrive, you always want new experiences together, right? Whether it's traveling to a new destination together or going to the spa together or whatever. But the thing is, investments and savings, when you talk about that as a couple, it gives you something new to discover and discuss. So you could have separate portfolios as boyfriend and girlfriend, or separate portfolios as husband and wife, or a joint portfolio where you're both making suggestions as to what to invest in and so on and so forth. And I think it gives the relationship something new, right? So where you're like, why is this stock doing?
I think the relationship will thrive. Although, I mean, in Nigeria, I always say that Nigerians tend to thrive more when there's chaos. That's...
That is very. We should have this affinity for chaos.
Yes, we do. We do. We don't like the easy way.
No.
When it's easy, it's boring. But when there's chaos, oh yeah, no, that's us. That's us.
And another thing is patience with investments, because this is when you talk about chaos. You just reminded me now. Some of us tend to be too short-termist. We want the money now.
Sharp.
Yeah, sharp. Patience with investments is highly recommended, because by having patience, you are building discipline towards getting back your returns and so on and so forth. And another thing is that if you don't have patience, you can fall into trouble, because the quick get rich quick schemes almost always usually end up with a story that touches. So you want to avoid that. So that's another thing that couples can discuss amongst themselves with respect to being patient to allow investments to yield fruits.
Yeah, and going forward, they'll also find that when they find themselves in a tight situation financially, there's something to fall back on.
Exactly. So it's a cushion. You want to make sure that you have a cushion. As I mentioned earlier, with the issue with maybe late salaries, or this is where you and your spouse, or you and your the person you're dating, talk about side hustles, talk about extra avenues that can bring you extra income aside from your 9-to-5 job or primary source of income. The key to wealth, I mean, is cutting spending is one. When you cut spending and reduce your spending, you can save money and build, but it's also about extra streams of income that can support you. It's a lovely feeling to have credit alerts, left and right in a given month that are outside of your primary engagement, because now you're set for the future, and you're buffered, and you're cushioned, and you're protected. And there's nothing like that, Genie, because anything happened to me as we end this segment and I go do something, anything can happen tomorrow morning. There's nothing like peace of mind of when there's an emergency. Your car could break down tomorrow. You could fall ill. I mean, of course, falling ill, you need to get insurance. I always talk about that on personal finance, insurance and so on, pensions and so on, protect yourself. But having that emergency, that backup to call upon without having to call friends or family for any support, that is an incredibly lovely feeling to have. So and you need to prepare for it. So it is your extra streams of income, it is your savings, it is what you have put away that will protect you if something pops up.
Anyway, it's been a good conversation on personal finance. We're just about to jump out the studio and let you go do other things. Think about some other investment that's popped up in your head as you're talking to us right now. I'm sure there are one or two already, and then we'll talk again next time that we have you on the show.
Thank you, Genie. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. You take care of yourself, man.
And you too as well. Well, that's been Personal Finance with my man, Rotus, right at Smooth 90.1. We'll be having another one next week, Wednesday, right at Smooth.
For money, what comes through ahead?
Your earnings, your spending, your savings.
You want cash flow that pays very little taxes.
Money